Okay, after doing some tests, it turned out that this small 4K7 resistor determines the bias and changes it, and it was drifting from the start. So I sorted up a new kind of bias board, replacing the resistor with a pot in order to be able to change the bias. It's a 5K pot. It has a N4007 diode on board. That very old diode in the ampere, the red one. Okay, new bias board is ready and it's all hooked up with alligator clips for a test. Now let's turn on the amp and see if we can dial in minus 17 volts DC for the grid bias of the output tubes. Okay, we got 20 volts, just under 20 volts. Now, okay, it's adjusting. Now, a little bit more. That's too low. $17 volts. Nailed it. So here's a new bias circuit installed. I had to put some duct tape at the backside of the PCB so that nothing shorts out. The signal comes in through the red wire here, through the diode, which is replacing that selenium diode that I removed. Then here are the 100 microfarad caps. There's the resistor in between, hidden under the pot, and there's a 5K pot which allows you to dial in the correct bias voltage of minus 17 volts DC. Okay, I fired up the amp to check the bias voltage like this to make sure. We're gonna do it over here. Yes, 16, 24, maybe. Okay, now it's 17. Okay, now the hardest work is done. I also want to replace the filter caps, which seem to be okay, but they're more than 65 years old. 65 years exactly, probably. So we're gonna find some replacements. There's another one here. As a matter of fact, the first cap is 2 caps in parallel, and these signs indicate that they are in the same housing. So in fact, this cap together with that cap is in one enclosure. The same with this one and that one. This is a separate 32 microfarads, but as these are in parallel, this will come down to 74 microfarads, and we will replace it with a single cap to save some space. Also this one. They are in different enclosures, but they are in parallel, so we will replace these two 60 microfarads by one of these 33 microfarads, and then we have still 160 microfarad cap to replace here. Here is the first biggest 32 microfarad cap, which is parallel with one of the 60 microfarads, one of the two in in the same enclosure. And the same one here. First part is parallel with the second part of this one, and this is the last filter cap in the series. So let's take them out. The only thing we still have to fix is a sort of input jack. We might replace the phono input in order to avoid having to drill through the beautiful Geloso logo, but we'll see. As I did for the speaker jack, I will be using an insulated jack for the input of the guitar. That is the way Geloso used to put input sockets. They were not with the ground connection on the socket connected to the chassis, as for example Fender did. The input jack is installed. I didn't wire up everything yet because I want to lose this main volume control, which actually does nothing else than what your guitar volume already does. And I would like to just take the input and get a 68K resistor to the grid, which is the yellow wire on the right. Here's the original input coming from the phono plug connected to ground, and here is the signal path, and there's an immediate 1 meg potentiometer here to bleed some of the signal to ground. This is exactly the same as what is already in your guitar. Also, there's a big capacitor here, which is usually replaced by a 68K resistor in guitar circuits. So we might omit this. It's got 3.3 meg to ground here. We might keep it, we might switch it out for 1 meg, but we'll see. Also again, note that 1287 is also triode, has 2 sides, as does the 12AX7. You can see the 2 sides here, but in fact there's a side missing here. There's an extra side to this triode that is not being used at this moment. As you can see on the tube socket, those 3 corresponding tabs on the tube socket are all connected to ground and not used. So we might be able to use... The idea I'm playing with, but it will be for the next video, is to use the unused half of the first triode and get the input here. Use the 68K here, put 1 meg to ground, enter on the grid, signal goes to the plate. The plate is connected to a 100K resistor to the main power line here. Geloso always uses 220K, but Fender uses 100K. Then we have to put a coupling cap and then feed it in here. We can drop this cap, lose the 68K, and go into the second stage, and maybe use this pot to regulate the volume here, and then this will be the second stage. Well, just in summary, my first thoughts on the sound is there is a lot more power in the amp now. It distorts more easily, and I don't know, it just sounds a whole lot better. Maybe that was due to the filter caps, maybe the new diode, modern diode, helped a little, but maybe also rebiasing it to exactly -17. I still didn't put in new tubes. This was with the old tubes that came with the amp. I also did not remove that big capacitor in the input that was on the input. I could play with bias a bit more, but I think I'm gonna call it a day today. So I hooked up stuff, the input provisionally with alligator clips, and it's too late now to continue playing and testing out how it would sound without the capacitor, so that's for next time.